And I picked this one, and after that I want to use carbon plate to support ankles. And I got some idea from the chassis,
Yeah.
the frame body. They were in the past they used the frame body for the upper plate or the car and the bottom plate of the car. But these days they use the one frame body. So I want to use the carbon plate outside of the midsole and as a sidewall, and they can make more support from the side. So it's kind of like it's not the same function, but looks like F1's the sidewall. So this was my next idea for this plate.
To be honest, when I saw this, I thought it was a little bit too much for running shoe.
Me too.
It's a small difference, but it will make a huge difference later. Think about it this way. Okay, what if we make this somehow incorporating this carbon plate with some sort of a sidewall for support? Now, you have a choice. You can draw it like this, or you can just think about, no, but maybe it's too much for running shoe and just toss it away and just forget about it. There's a huge difference later. Now, that one little difference in action, you draw it or not, that little gap will go further away. And this guy who did nothing will just, nothing happens. But this guy who drew some, he can incorporate this idea and design for some other future projects, such as basketball, tennis, all kinds of, multi-directional sports. I want to emphasize it's so important that just draw. Don't be afraid. Just draw it and do not afraid to show to everybody and get some feedback. There's nothing wrong with that. If you don't do it, well, that's wrong.
I thought the 4 centimeters midsole is very massive, and there is more responsiveness gonna be gaining here. And I thought, it could be maybe make some injuries. So I thought from that I need some more support from it. This was sketch of the sidewall sketches for the carbon plate, and I told you previous page, and also functional sketch. But I want to show the style more than because this is gonna be an iconic sketch from the side. So there is a lot of sketches, but I think this sketch is gonna be perfect because this kind of sketch is too much and can find this kind of C line in the Nike. Ronaldo's footwear. There's
football shoe?
Yeah, football shoes. This kind of sketch is too bold from the side, and I thought this sketch is not too thick and not too much. So I picked this one.
Okay.
And the middle style is started this one and make more muscular line like the Lamborghini rules, like this kind of one.
Yeah. All of these, for me, reminds me some of the like a sci-fi animation, Akira, and that's what I like about it. You don't get to see some fresh, different look that represents some very conceptual look. Some of them very simple. The upper, like for example, racing shoe, Nike Alphafly, really simple, big swoosh. Even Adidas running shoes these days, a big 3 stripes, very minimal design in the upper, except maybe Boston. Okay, you can say this is too much. And he thought some of are, too much. But the language, the gesture of the visual impression of he tried to achieve here is something very unique. Once you drew that, you can simplify it, that's no problem. You can modify it for more functional purpose, aesthetically, you can change it. What I like about here is that it's not about complexity. It's just like in running shoe, I never seen anything like these. So that's what I like about it.
너무 어려웠어요, 이때. 이게 because there is a lot of simple uppers in these days. So there is no place to it that I can design. So I just thought just 3 stripe and That's it.
That's
And actually, these kind of three stripes we can see now in
Yeah.
Adidas Evo.
Yeah, Evo, yeah.
If I sketch is just three stripes,
Mhm.
but there is nothing to explain to the designers in Adidas. Let me get it and draw everything I
Mhm.
can and show not minimal,
Mhm.
just maximalist everything.
Mhm.
So I designed everything that can show the masculine design
Mhm.
and
Masculine, max, I like that. Yeah.
this will be the final design.
Okay, cool.
And there is some three sketches I picked
Mhm.
because this kind of line I thought, oh, that looks masculine and they can show the three stripe very well.
Mhm.
And this was the final sketching. Midline up on the upper or the use that looks like everywhere. So from here to here.
Mhm.
But I want to use the three stripes from the midline to the backward
Mhm.
because Adidas in these days like the minimal design. I want to get rid of it some of the parts,
Mhm.
and I thought this kind of line is the iconic.
Okay, good.
So I
good.
want to make empty this place.
Let's contrast. There's something going on with the eye stay eyelets, three stripes, but it's really clean here. Cool.
And I want to add something because midsole is to maximum. So I
Very
want to
so, yeah.
So I want to use upper. Just we can see just the three stripes.
Yep. It is very maximal everywhere. It's the stack heights, the zigzag line, the side wall thing popping out on the midsole. Yeah, but see how this is how interestingly combined together.
Here we go. Here we go.
And this was the kind of CMF color and materials. And I want to use the red color because I love it and I thought this kind of be hooked the someone's mind very first.
Mhm.
And carbon plate for the shank,
Mhm.
use the three stripe as two colored because I thought this kind of upper line can be iconic and looks like car windows. So I want to use separate line and this kind of black
okay,
and this kind of white. At the time, I was very into it. Some kind of the 3D upper, 3D printed upper. So I want to use that kind of lines and texture.
Good. You've done this with Photoshop or Procreate? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you use any kind of Photoshop, Procreate, Illustrator, whatever, the best thing of those tools is that once you copy it, you can just paste it and you can change the colors and you can make different versions, so many variations in very, very, very short amount of time. And just think about back in the days, you draw all the lines with the pencils and you color it with whatever marker or. This is a suggestion for you guys for your upgrading portfolio. Make sure you do at least 3 color variations because it's so easy to do it with a Photoshop and any other digital tools these days. Whatever color you do it, most of you will do it because you like it.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that
That's
the
right.
person who's going to look at it is going to, or she's going to like it too. So it's always safer do several versions of colors. For example, for me, I'll make this red really like candy pop, not this saturated, really vivid red. I'll make this black part with something else. So I can make this carbon plate as a jewel of my designs. Because when you look at it from the distance, it's hard to see where and what is what. You know what I mean? So either you make this one as your highlight or something else. In all those sketches and your design emphasis right here.
So you mean this carbon plate is the first priority? That's right.
Wasn't it?
That's right.
It was. So
It
why
was.
don't you pop that thing? Well, why don't you highlight this thing more by making this thing with something else? Maybe if you make this even slighter, like a lighter gray, this will pop out.
At the time, I thought that is not the Adidas way because when I saw the Adidas website and it said a lot of footwears, I thought Adidas don't want to use the vivid colors or the candy pops, but Nike likes it. So I thought if I apply to the Adidas, I want to use the way of the Adidas. So
For internship,
Yeah.
I think you can be really more challenging, brave, out of ordinary, I guess. Because usually what production designers do is they have the seasonal color scheming plans, the branding has the color regulations and all that, but you're applying for interns, so it's
Yeah.
maybe the only time you can be really free for whatever you want to do, you know, it's like your creativity is what you can offer. The designers who's gonna review this, it's their job. They design it, they draw it, and in incorporated manners, whether it's a Adidas, New Balance, Asics, Nike, it doesn't matter. They want to see something different. They want to see something fresh, right?
Right.
So yeah, I would say don't be afraid. Just do it your way. And yeah, color variation is easiest and also most efficient way to capture somebody's mind. Imagine you design some other shoes, other projects. Let's say you do 3-4 more projects. It would take a few weeks, but yeah, just color pop in and different color variations. Yeah, it's very quick.
And this is the modeling, and I used the gravity sketch from to model this to make the 3D model this. And this was the shine plate. At the time, I was really afraid about I didn't do any perspective sketches, and I thought this gonna be I can get some question about this. So first model this carbon plate at first, and I started the 3D line modeling, and after that I made some midsole and the uppers, and I made this also very special way. And here I thought, I didn't have any sketches about the outsole, but outsole is very important, and I talked about the Nike outsoles
Airsoles, okay.
and goes to the outsole. So this gonna be a 뽁뽁이.
뽁뽁이?
Yeah.
Bubble wrap.
Yeah, bubble wrap.
뽁뽁이.
So I'm going to use that kind of shape in the outsoles.
Okay.
Yeah. And it takes about 10 hours.
10 hours.
Yes.
Okay. So how long you been practicing this gravity sketch skills?
Maybe 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Then this was the render shots, and I render with the key shot. And thankfully, I can find some looks like a 3D printed upper, like the can see inside. So I want to use the I want to show that very thin upper, and I use the carbon plate that is very super shine, high accuracy. And before that, I was so confused about my sketch and design because I thought this gonna be a look very fat and so it looks a dumb, and I was so afraid about it. But after I rendered it, oh wow, this gonna be a good.
Yeah.
Looks so fancy and looks so masculine.
Yes, yes, yes. And definitely it looks like at least 50 to 60
Yeah.
stack height. Yeah, so this is definitely masculine, really tall, maxed out everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's, see how this is so different than any other production design, footwear production designs these days. You see, go to Foot Locker or Adidas or Nike. Have you seen anything like this? I mean, just considering you don't have those 3 stripes. And have you seen anything like this? So I value and I recognize this different language, and this is very cool.
And this is the over the functions or the parts, and this is about the bubble outsole. I named it, and this is gonna be air inside, and this is gonna be more cushioning or the more responsiveness they can get.
So Adidas having air outsole, bubble outsole.
Really? I didn't really.
No, this is what you're saying.
Yes.
Adidas going to have an air bubble outsole.
Yeah.
Should I say how funny or ironic? But I mean, only time the intern can do. So whether you becoming or applying for intern, do whatever you want to do. Yeah.
And you can hear some popping sound when you run the 20 kilometers, like we used to wear in the kid.
Okay. Pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
Okay.
These sketches very light from the Adidas designers when I do the interview because they like the concept of the Z lines, zigzag lines, and at the last page also I want to show the main character and the theme, and this is gonna be the final sketches for that.
Very cool. I like this kind of neon green really pops out, so there's just distinctive, not only shape but also the color. The color really makes difference. How chunky is that monster look? So monstrous look. I love it. Later I talked about some of the basic proportion, the silhouette, the outline of the running shoe. Yeah, definitely this is very exaggerated, but that's very common rookie mistakes or amateur mistakes. But it's an easy fix. So I did very rough sketch on top of his rendering. This whole chunky over 60 mil maybe stack height missile with a carbon plate with a zig shape. I don't even want to touch anything about it. It's different, it's unique, it's fantastic. But if there's the upper part based on actual foot shape or slash last shape, if you make this a little bit more realistic, like a little bit thinner, sharper, so that I did some red line sketches on the top of it and looks a little bit more realistic. And the next one is how he modified the proportions of it. It looks much sharper, very exaggerated toe spring. Maybe some of you don't like it, but think about this Z gesture and this shape. It just looks like it will fly. Propulsion you can see, and that's the language. And okay, for internship, it's acceptable. Nobody's looking for perfect specs or perfect last shape based, professional specs. For interns and for students, you just got to use your imagination and spread your wings for the creativity. By the way, before I met him online and gave him advice, pretty much Songmin has been self-taught. So I was also very surprised and shocked about his passion and working really his ass off all the time. So yeah, maybe some people get inspired, maybe some people laugh about it. But see, but somebody's sketching, somebody's drawing, and somebody's getting feedback, somebody's sharing the love, and he's growing and he's developing. So it's all good. Which side are you? Okay.
요즘 하는 그 팟캐스트 같은 느낌이 좀 있네요.
야는 그 피식쇼인가 뭐 그거 아니야?
아, 알죠.
그러니까 그냥 졸라 재밌게 해. 영어 하다가 안 되거나 한국말 하고.
좋아요.
그냥
오면서 이걸 어떻게 해야 되지 막 좀 긴장이 되더라고요 지금 보는데.
긴장하지 말고. 자, 마이크 테스트 오랜만에 성호동의
카메라 앞에 이렇게 제가
성호동의 운동화 디자인 스쿨